I was just thinking about that, so you read my mind. Thank you so much. Yes.
First, let's talk before the end of the night.
Okay, we are live on YouTube. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And
Shalom to one and all.
hey there, Rabbi Eric. Shabbat Shalom. I'm gonna, Linda, I'm just gonna mute everybody, and then Linda, I'll ask you to unmute. But let me first put everybody on. There we go. And Linda, we just need you to unmute.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's nice to see all your shiny faces and all the different backgrounds. So this is Shabbat Sukkot, and so we're opening with a song that is from a psalm, and it is about the date palm. So you're gonna, I believe you're gonna see the words on your screen, but it is about the righteous bloom like a date palm, and they thrive like a cedar. So this is full of images of things that grow. And we welcome Ethan Beers and his family, because Ethan is our first live bar mitzvah. Will be called to the Torah tomorrow in the sanctuary, and it is such a long time. I'm very excited, but we'll see. We're anticipating it'll go very well, and Ethan did a great job at his rehearsal, so we're all ready for tomorrow, right, Ethan? He's holding up his thumb. I can see it.
Yeah.
Yes, all ready. Okay, so we are going to welcome Shabbat with Sadi Katamar, and it goes like this. Sadi Katamar Yivrach Keretz Keretz Babanon Yizkei Shetulim Bebeit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvun V'Yesefa V'Shenim V'Ra'nanim Yihiyu Lehagid Ki Yashar Adonai Zuri Velo Aflataba. Shabbat Shalom.
And again, Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Let me give you a tour of what the sanctuary sort of looks like these days. You can see it's all set for Ethan, and it's extraordinarily socially distanced as we ready for his ceremony tomorrow. Glad that we're all together here tonight. We turn to page 120 for kindling the lights of Shabbat, and this is a Yontif as well. And we invite forward the Beers family to lead us in candle lighting, page 120.
You want a light? Sure. Okay. You can have here some seals. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
You ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadleker shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov.
Amen, and thank you, and a little bit more on Shabbat and much more on Yom Tov, Sukkot in this service, and then again tomorrow. Our service now continues on page 138 with L'chadodi as we continue to welcome in Shabbat. We'll be chanting on 138, singing with Linda, the first and second verses, and then on 139, the ninth verse of L'chadodi.
Lecha lecha dodi, lekrat likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat mikabela. Lecha lecha dodi, lekrat likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat mikabela. Shamor v'zachor v'yiburecha, yishmi'anu el hamichad Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Gam b'simcha u'tzohola, tov hamunei am sikula, bo'ichala, lecha lecha dodi, lekrat likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat mikabela. Lecha lecha dodi, lekrat likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat mikabela.
We now turn to page 144 as Ethan leads us in the Chatzi Kaddish.
Okay, I'm not sure if you can hear my notes working, but alright. Yitgadal v'yitkara shemei rabba
Amen.
v'yamad yivrachrote v'yamichachrote v'yachayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'achete kol beit Yisrael v'hagala u'v'izlahan kahariv v'meru amen. Yeheshemei Rabba Mevora, Le'almaya, Yitzbara, Yitbara, Yithabah, Yitakar, Yitomam, Yitnase, Yitadar, Yitale, Yitalal, Shemedi Kudusha, Refu, Le'al, Minko, Brachifata, Veshirata, Tu shpechata v'nechemata dahar miran bahar b'yom himeru amen.
Amen. We turn to page 146. Those who are able, we rise. Ethan leads us in the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Vaed.
We turn to page 148. Ethan is our reader in English.
Wait, 148?
148 in English. Blessed are you.
Where's 148? Hold on. Oh, right here. Oh, okay. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzivaot is your name. Every living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamahari Varavim.
And we read together on page 150 in English. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night, we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Page 152, Ethan leads us in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malachuto, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. On page 154, Ethan leads us now in the Vehafta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha v'chol nefshecha v'chol meodecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi matzavecha yom alavavecha v'shir natam levanecha v'dirata bam Bashircha bebetecha uflecha vadere ushobecha ucholecha ukshaktam leot al yadecha v'hayuhu letvot beinenecha uftavtam al mitzuhot beiteyecha uvisharecha Lemahan Tishkeruhu Vasietem et Komitzvotai Veheyetem Kedoshim Leol Hechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Hotzeit Yetchem Meheret Mitzrayim Leot Lechem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Emet, we turn to page 157. Ethan is our reader standing on the parted shores.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Mi Chamocha will be found on page 158.
Ya bum bum ya bum bum bim bum ya bum bum bim bim bum ya bum bum bim bum ya dai 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 ya bum bum bim bum ya dai 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 ya bum bum bim bum mi kamo ha bai ma do nai mi kamo ha nehedar ba kodesh no wati lo do se belle no wati lo do se belle ya pum pum bim bim bam ya pum pum bim bam ya pum pum bim bim bam ya pum pum bim bam ya dai 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 ya pum pum bim bam ya dai 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 ya pum pum bim bam ma hara fanecha bokeh yam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Zeheli anu ve'yomeru Adonai lo leolam va'ed Yam bam bam bim bim bam yam bam bam bim bam yam bam bam bim bim bam yam bam bam bim bam yai dai 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 yam bam bam bim bam yai dai 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 yam bam bam bim bam.
We turn to page 160. Blessed are you, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Linda sings Ufros, yes, Hapare Sukkot Shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai habarei Sukkot Shalom Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo ve'al Baruch atah Adonai haborei Sukkot Shalom Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
We now turn to page 162. Yismechu, our prayer for Shabbat, will be the second Hebrew paragraph down on the page.
Yismechu v'malachutecha shomri 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 Shabbat v'korehu nehek Shabbat Yismechu v'malachutecha shomri 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 Shabbat v'korehu nehek Shabbat Mekadosh Shvi Shabbat Kulam Yisbehu V'yitanu Metuvacha Shabbat Yisbehu V'malachutecha Shomri 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 Shabbat
Our service continues page 164 with the tefillah. We chant the prayers on the right-hand pages, the even numbered pages, beginning page 164, continuing to page 170. For those who are able, we invite you to rise and to sing with Linda and with Ethan.
Adonai, sifatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Vahanara, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, V'zocher Chastevot V'himachot, Umevi Gula Lifnei V'nehem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava. Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Svat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol Atavrav Lehoshia. Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye Hakol Berakamin Rabim, so make no flim Verofe Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umechaye Memunatohu Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Balgivurot, Umido Melach, Melach memi tu mechaye umaz mi Yeshua v'ne'emana tali hayot hakol baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol.
On page 170, Ethan is our reader, reading You Are Holy.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God.
Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. To be sure, shalom is as fragile as it is precious. That is why we speak to God and we remind ourselves we have to be agents of peace. It won't just happen. We have to help make it happen. Our prayer, Shalom Rav, for abundant peace, page 178.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael. את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We now pause for silent prayer.
Ose shalom bimromav, uyaste shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, uyaste shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen.
As mentioned earlier, it's Yom Tov. It is Sukkot. We have here our four species. Rabbi Eliezer is recorded as saying, the four species come only to obtain the favor of God by giving water. You hear the sound? Just as without water, it would be impossible to have these four species, so too, it would be impossible for the world to exist without water. And it says in the Torah, in fact, it will be read in the morning by Ethan, you shall take the product of hadar trees, branches of palm trees, boughs of leafy trees, and willows of the brook, and you shall rejoice before Adonai your God 7 days. And so on all of our behalf, I am going to wave the etrog and lulav from here in our sanctuary. You can see the blessings on page 571. And I am going to face east for the blessing. The pitam, the stem, the pitam, this special section here is going to be down, and where it comes from the tree is going to be up. Etrog in my right hand, lulav in my left hand. I put them together. The first blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat lulav. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who sanctifies us through commandments, commanding us to shake the lulav. And as it's the beginning of the Yom Tov, it's our first time doing it this year, the Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu Bihigianu lazman hazeh. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, for keeping us alive, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this time. I'm going to flip how I hold them, and we're going to go 3 times in each direction. And gotta tell you, I was mentioning this to Abby earlier, that what a bumper year for etrogim. Perhaps this year the demand is down a little bit, but what a beautiful etrog we have for this year. As I've done in the past, dried out last year's 2 years ago. This year, just a beautiful, beautiful etrog. And not only is our etrog beautiful, I want to show you a photo. Oops, I'm going to show you a photo in just a moment. I just need to go back and escape and then do that. And let me now zoom. So thank you, Dan Goodman. Thank you, John McNally. This was taken earlier today, our beautiful sukkah. And on the right-hand side, you see it in terms of the building. The close-up on the left, hard to read the words, but it says, when you walk into our sukkah, it says, Ufros alenu Sukkot Shlomecha, spread over us the shelter of your peace. And from this sukkah, the inscription which you see outside, spread over us the canopy of peace, truly, we hope that our sukkah will be a canopy of peace for all who are able to dwell underneath it. Linda presents, Linda sings Ufros Alenu Sukkot Shlomecha, page 664.
Ufros Alenu Sukkot Shlomecha. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la.
We now pray on behalf of dear ones within and beyond our congregational family who are ill and in need of healing. And we include in our prayers this Shabbat and this Yom Tov, West Shonfas, Devorah Malka Bat Esther Rivka, Penina Bat Esther, Marvin Worth, Janet Dias, Jim Dias, Kim Lee, Wendy Hoser, Sarah and Ron Saunders, Howard Engel, Zena Garber, Alan Elias, Trina Cohan, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, the President and First Lady, and all people fighting COVID-19. I invite you to unmute and say out loud the names of those for whom we pray this Shabbat.
Freda Allen.
Charlotte Berman.
Alan Stein.
Yeah, I see what you mean about the picture.
May the Holy One send healing and shelter and protection for all. Linda leads us in Misha Berach, page 371.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaDvarim
a renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
When we were together, a number of us were able to be there when our congregation was together outside for Tashlich on Rosh Hashanah, when we were casting bread on waters. You'll recall I did shtick. I've done this shtick before about different breads for different sins. So for dark sins, pumpernickel, etc. And for the sin of irony, the answer was rye bread. Now, speaking of irony, we fought the Greeks, as we know from the story of Hanukkah, where we fought the Assyrian Greeks. But then, after we were victorious, a little bit later, our rabbis embraced the Socratic method of always asking questions. In fact, Judaism celebrates reason, and we celebrate questions and questioning. That's part of the basis of our identities. So don't get angry or don't get ready to fight if I ask a few questions about this festival, which we inaugurate this year for this year, the festival of Sukkot. So first, what's the reason for Sukkot? That's a very good question. Let me tell you. The Torah says, you shall dwell in booths for 7 days, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. That's why we have our beautiful sukkah booth again this year. Even during the pandemic, our sukkah, it testifies to our ongoing connections to tradition and our ongoing connection to nature. And again, Dr. Dan, I thank you, and I thank John McNally, your assistant, for making it possible again this year. Now, what makes a sukkah is precisely what they did, which is that they went out and they got schach, things that grow from the ground, and they put it on top so that the roof would give shade, but would also allow for us to see the stars. The themes of Sukkot, you might wonder, so what are these themes of Sukkot? It's nature. As I mentioned earlier, it's water, it's the harvest, it's sharing, and in ancient times, it was also the concepts of rain and fertility. Now, you might be wondering, how do we know that Sukkot has long been a really big deal? In fact, in our tradition, it's called the holiday, Hechag. It's the holiday according to the rabbis. When you look at ancient tomb descriptions, which they have, or inscriptions, which archaeologists have dug up from much earlier times, some of the oldest tomb inscriptions we have, what you're going to find on those tomb inscriptions as a way of identifying a person as part of the Jewish people is an etrog and a lulav. That they have made their way as such. And what's the deal with the etrog and the lulav? They also relate to water. They tell the trek of Israel, oases in the wilderness on the way to the land of Israel. Not a lot of water, but you find it at palms at oases. When the people were crossing the Jordan River, willows at the brook still grow there. Going up into the mountains near Jerusalem, the myrtle, the hadassah. When you get really settled in the land, you can, it takes a lot of water to be able to grow these. As you can see, it's also that sense of settlement. And just as these four species, they go from having taste and smell to neither taste and smell, show that there has to be a totality of us, the Jewish people. In terms of the etrog and lulav, there's also a verse in the Song of Songs, which is commented on by the rabbis, and this also shows special commitment. The Song of Songs, which is beautiful love poetry in the Bible, and there is a phrase in the Song of Songs that says, "You are beautiful, my love." And the rabbis comment that this is a declaration of the affection which God has for the Jewish people. They say, "You are beautiful through commandments, both positive and negative. That is, what one is to do and what one should avoid doing. Beautiful through good deeds, beautiful in the field through gleaning, the forgotten sheaf of giving extra, and the second tithe, gifts which the Torah requires be left for the poor. Beautiful in the law of circumcision in our ancient traditions and rituals. Beautiful in prayer. Beautiful in the reading of the Shema, beautiful in the zuzot and tefillin of having the Shema on our doorposts. In the lulav and etrog, beautiful too in repentance and good deeds, beautiful in this world and beautiful in the world to come." Now, there are some very special practices for this festival of Sukkot. Amongst them is ushpizin, inviting guests. Traditionally invited in is Abraham, Judaism's founder, challenged God to be fair. Isaac, Abraham's son, likewise very dedicated to God. Jacob, Isaac's younger son, who wrestled with an angel and became Israel. Moses, who helped lead the people out of Egypt and helps receive the Torah. Aaron, Moses' brother, who worked with him in the fight for freedom and became head of high priest doing rituals. Joseph, who became a leader in Egypt, and he forgave his brothers. And David, the great king who made Jerusalem his capital. Now, traditionally, each night you bring in one of these biblical figures. Updating it, contemporary Jewish feminists often will add Sarah, the mother of our people, Rebecca, another leading lady who was the first woman recorded as deciding whom she would marry, Rachel, another founding woman, and was a very thoughtful sister, Leah, another founding woman who took the lead in holding the family together after tragedy, Zipporah, Moses' wife, who made sure that important rituals were followed and was once unfairly treated by others because of her dark skin, which made God very angry. Miriam, Moses' sister, who helped save Moses' life and found water in the wilderness, and Hannah, who we read about on Rosh Hashanah, desperately wanted to have a baby so that he, the child, would ultimately serve our people. And she had her son Samuel grow. As soon as he was weaned, he was there helping out at the temple. Those would be sort of the traditional figures. I ask you this year to consider whom you invite into the sukkah. Who would be, if you were coming up with a list of 7 for this year, who would be your big 7? We have 3 opportunities for gathering outside in the sukkah this year. Sunday, Sisterhoods leading the book group. David Augenbrunn is doing a discussion on the Yiddish Policemen Union. On Wednesday at 1 and on Friday at 3, I'll be there in the sukkah. And if you want to drop by and say hi, that would be wonderful. It says in the Psalms, in Psalm 27:5, "You shelter me in your sukkah at a not good time. In your solid presence, I am uplifted." This has not been, as we know, a great time amidst pandemic. And so feeling the shelter of the sukkah is an especially good thing to have happen. You're also probably wondering, well, what about the world to come, which was mentioned earlier with regard to the sukkah? What is expected about Sukkot in the world to come? And Rabbah also said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, "The Holy One will make a sukkah for the righteous out of Leviathan's skin, and the Holy One will spread the rest of the skin over the walls of Jerusalem, and its radiance will shine bright from one end of the world to the other. As it is said, nations shall walk by thy light, and kings by thy shining radiance." Isaiah. You might be wondering, what is the rabbi's favorite sukkah mishnah? And that would be that Dwelling under a bed does not fulfill the obligation of dwelling in the sukkah. You can't make a chamber in a chamber. We are not to entirely shut out the outdoors, and we are to encounter life as it is. And we are to see the schach, the covering and the elements in the sukkah and beyond it. And what's the greeting for Sukkot? It is Chag Sameach, a joyous festival. So I thank you for your patience with tonight's shtick, and I thank you welcoming these questions. Indeed, thinking and reasoning, it's that which has long distinguished who we are as a Jewish people. Ken Yeh Ratzon, be this God's will. We now turn to page 586. We invite those who are able to rise for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach lahadon hakol latet gedula leotzer breshit shelo asanu kagei havratzot velo samanu kamishbechot hadama shelo samchalkenu kahem v'goralenu kekol hamonam V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu.
Please be seated, page 591.
V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech hakol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
We now call to mind our own beloved dead. And I ask that those in mourning or remembering the anniversary of the death of a loved one, should you wish at home, please rise when their name is mentioned. During Shiva, we remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg. During Shloshim, Harriet Blum, Calvin Turin, husband of Elaine, and Ethel Schwartz, sister-in-law of Lionel. This Shabbat and this Yom Tov, we remember the yahrzeits of Saul Bennett Alderman, William Henry Blank, Dorothy Danon, Peggy Erlanger, Anne Bernstein Fine, B. Gold, Doreen Halberstam Sage, Judith Herman, Celia J. Kamak, Jean Comator, Ida Medin Leopold, Henry Medina, Martha Crotter, Peter Quigley, Anna Rearson, Saul Rhodes, Andrew Rudin, Emmanuel Scher, Sarah Roger Strisick, Johnny Weissman, and Nellie Volgemuth. Should you have a dear one to add, please unmute your computer.
Amitabha Chowdhury.
Louis Hoser.
Eric Hall.
Ira Goldman.
We also remember the dead this week from COVID-19. Each Shabbat, we also mention 6 names amongst the 6 million murdered in the Holocaust, the Shoah. We now remember Pinchas Apfel, Yitzhak Apfel, Yaakov Apfel, Abram Aravkin, Zhenya Aravkina, and Gersh Aranzoy. In remembrance and solidarity, and on behalf of those for whom there was no one but us to say Kaddish, we now invite all present to rise if you are able. Our Kaddish prayer, page 198. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach chiruteh v'amlich malchuteh, b'chaye echon v'yomei echon v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mabarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, Damiran Bi'alma Vimru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Vimru Amen. So may their memories be for blessing. Let us say Amen. Please be seated. Among the things read during Sukkot is the book of Ecclesiastes, this beautiful song is inspired by the book of Ecclesiastes. Linda presents Turn, 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 page 664.
I'm sorry. I thought I was supposed to do build a sukkah.
Oh, okay. Oh, even better. Don't turn to page 6. Don't worry about screen sharing at all. And
I don't know. Sometimes the cues don't always make it through the emails or something. I don't know. But I was just thinking about our very, very good friend Dennis Gilliam, who brought this song to B'nai Israel and really shared it for many years. And I think of him every time, I mean, very often, but especially when we sing this song. And it's a little bit silly, and Dan thinks it's very silly, but it is very upbeat and it makes me smile because I think of Dennis. So, and he was a wonderful guy, so he still is, but okay. So anyway, you get the boards, I'll get the doors, put some leaves on the, nope, wrong key, sorry Dennis. You get the boards, I'll get some cords, put some leaves on the roof and have the 2x4s, build a sukkah, help me with this. Ooh, build a sukkah. We're gonna build a sukkah, gonna live in it all week long. Shake your lulav to the ground, shake, shake, shake your lulav in the air. You know you shake it north, you shake it south, you shake it east, you shake it west, 'cause God is everywhere. Build a sukkah, ooh, build a sukkah. We're gonna build a sukkah, gonna live in it all week long. We sleep in our sukkah like the stars up above. It makes us thankful for all God's love. Build a sukkah.